listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
I'm snowed in, man. I'm snowed in. It's been a while. It's Tuesday night. Our child hasn't
4
been
days
to
now,
school since noon on Friday. And they have a late start Wednesday morning.
At least she's getting back to school.
That's right.
Positive. Do you want to start with weather related takes? Because I've got some that'll make your make you roll your eyes.
Some hot takes or cold takes?
I'll let you determine what this is. Because, okay, born and raised Texan, both of us are.
Mm-hmm.
Are we equipped to handle cold? No. Having lived in West Texas, in Lubbock, I've had my fair share of cold and snow, mostly ice. Not like what you guys are experiencing now. I have experienced in shorter windows, right? Like I've had really cold. I went out there with boiling water when it was -5, threw it in the air, turned to dust. That was fun to do once. Okay. So we, in my current location in Corpus Christi, Texas, we were on the very southern edge of where this winter weather storm front reached. We did dip below freezing, and at one point there was forecast for precipitation directly preceding the dip into freezing temperatures, leading into potentially sleet, freezing rain, freezing mist, snow, whatever. We didn't experience the same take everything off the shelves, mass rush to the stores I saw you guys were getting. But what we did get, Michael, our forecast Sunday night into Monday said we were going to dip down to 28 degrees, which is cold. The forecast had a potential mix of precipitation, or, it would have been rain because it wasn't going to be cold when it was going to be rain. Rain on Sunday throughout the day, several hours being done, several hours ahead of the freeze. School districts across the city on Friday determined, we're going to go ahead and do a late start on Monday.
Seems reasonable.
Michael? It rained until about 9 a.m. Saturday morning. And then it stopped.
Dry.
And then it was dry for 36 hours ahead of the freeze. So we had a 2-hour delay on Monday for literally cold air. And the comment section of the CCISD Facebook post where they said, hey, we're going to delay the school for 2 hours. You had parents bickering back and forth, name calling, trying to judge other parents. Like, you are so out of your mind if you're going to send your kids outside in this dangerous weather to get to school. It's like, we're talking about 28 degrees. Is it cold? Absolutely. Is it dangerous? Could be for extended exposure, but we're talking about getting to school and getting inside on dry ground. So it was cold. Not anywhere near what you guys had, but we literally had my youngest's daycare was shut down on Monday, completely closed on Monday, which we found out about Monday morning.
That is pretty soft, I must say.
because it got to 28 degrees and it had been. Anyways, so um,
Well, today's the first day we've been above freezing since Friday. We record on Tuesdays, as most of you know. The storm started to roll in Friday afternoon, and that was exactly what the forecast was. But even the night before, I saw some of that bickering because where my daughter goes to school, it was one of the only, if not the only school that had school on Friday. But they had an early out. And
was
then
that
every
weather
other
related or was it already scheduled that way?
No, it was weather related because so they announced that early on Thursday afternoon at lunch or something. They announced that they're going to have an early out on Friday at noon, and then that evening about 5 or 6 o'clock, almost every other school said, "Oh, we're just going to close down on Friday." Well, kind of similar situation. It was fine Friday morning. It was foggy, but it was fog happens anyway. That's independent of any of this stuff happen. And the forecast was true. So and then I saw some of that stuff in the comments too of, well, at least our district cares about our students as opposed to them having to go to school for half a day. And I'm thinking, you're not going to feel this way when you're making up a day on Memorial Day or whatever it is, because this is not the only day. I mean, I'll say it. Our kids' school is Cooper. And so Cooper was ahead of the game thinking, you know what? We're probably going to have to cancel at least Monday. So let's at least get a half day in. Try not to force a weather day on people later on down the road.
Because
And it
you're
worked
talking
out.
about like 3 days now.
Oh,
that
yeah.
some schools are having to make up. Like that's got to come somewhere.
Yeah. So a lot of schools, most schools in this area were off Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and have a late start on Wednesday. Whereas our school, thankfully, got that half day in on Friday. And then we're off Monday, Tuesday, and have a late start on Wednesday. It's crazy, man. I mean, I did brave the roads Sunday, Monday, and of course today. Went to work Monday and Tuesday, and every single time I got on the road, it was different. Like Sunday, it was during the middle of the snow. We had like over 4 inches of snow that day. So it was during the middle of it, and that was interesting. And then driving to work the next morning, it was all that snow had been packed down and was frozen. Driving back, it had kind of started to melt, but it still was like driving on a dirt road. And I mean, every time I've been out, it's just been, oh, well, now everything's completely different than it was the last time I was out. Oh,
Completely
it's
different
just,
experience.
it's all ice now. Okay. Oh, it's cleared up. The sun's out. Oh, you know what? It was 9 degrees last night. It's ice again. Oops. who who knew? So it's just been an interesting week. I'm looking forward to a full day above freezing. Tomorrow we will be technically on Wednesday, I think, above 34 degrees for 24 hours, and that's going to be a good time. It's going to be good for us.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that. It got down to 1, I think, or 0. It was hovering between 1 and 0, I think, late Sunday night.
See, that's cool. That's legitimate
That's
cool.
cold.
And
Yeah.
what y'all are dealing with school related, like, yes, actually treacherous drive, commute, buses, parents. It's a mess. I get that. We had several rounds of emergency operations calls Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Granted, we participated because we were technically still in the forecasted like freeze range, and a lot of the people on this call were like San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Nashville, like places that were just absolutely hammered by this storm. They absolutely didn't need to be on these calls. Our local preparations, like what are we even doing? What are we doing? We I rolled my eyes so hard again because I was looking at the forecast. It's like we're gonna get nothing. It's gonna be cold air for a few hours. And then I was like, you know what? It's better to have gone through these preparations and not needed them than the reverse. But like we were testing backup generators, which okay, we can kind of get that with the Texas power grid issues.
Sure. Yep.
they were sourcing road salts. I was like, guys, it's going to be dry. There's still salt all over our sidewalks in our parking garages. Like it touched 32 degrees this morning for a few minutes, and it was, like I said, 28 overnight, Sunday into Monday for a little bit. Ice just doesn't manifest out of cold air, guys. It is humid. It is humid down here, but you're not
you
going to
might
drop
have freezing fog. We had freezing fog on that Monday morning.
Yeah, but it's been wild. You know what
the
was
good
hot?
news? Hang on, real quick. So no one wants to give ERCOT any credit, and that's fine. I understand that. But this storm has been completely a non-issue as far as the overall grid is concerned. Now, I know there's probably a lot of local outages due to trees falling into lines or just temperatures exceeding equipment that may have been operating for 30 years. But yeah, I mean, like right now I'm looking at it. ERCOT has 7,000 megawatts. They have almost 8 gigawatts of reserve operating right now. And I've looked at this before in the middle of the day, or just in the middle of the night too, and it's been up to 15. So they have a lot of operating reserves as opposed to 5 years or 4. Yeah, it was 5 years ago when that number got into the hundreds of megawatts, and then they had to start shedding load and all the awful things that came from
rolling
that.
blackouts. Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of that was to do with, it was like a cascading set of failures where gas companies lost power and they didn't have backup power, or their backup power froze up, or the gas itself, the valves froze up moving to the other generators, so stuff had to shut down. Anyway, it was just terrible. So no one wants to hear it, but credit to ERCOT for keeping the lights on this time around.
And how about 10 minutes of weather talk to start off 23 personnel?
So on brand. We should talk some tech sports. I think some good things happened since we last recorded.
I was going to talk about the one good source of heat. It's Texas Tech basketball.
There it is.
Offensive shooting was lights out against a good defensive team. I was trying to say, like, it was not unsuspecting, but like surprising in the sense that you had as good of an offensive day versus as good of a defensive team as you were facing. When you faced Houston the first time, it was a rock fight. It was as expected. JT even got a nut kick in there. Didn't do it this weekend. And maybe that's why it just kept everybody in rhythm. But my goodness, 55 first half points. I think that was the most a Houston team had given up in a half. I don't remember the exact stat there, but a long time. And you know what? Like, as much as he's kind of a pain to observe and take in as an opposing coach, did you see some of his coach Kevin Sampson's post game answers about officiating?
I kind of view Sampson the same way I did Bob Huggins, where he's a lot to take in on the sideline as the opposing team, but man, I'd have zero issue with them wearing the red and black, Yeah. And I would love for that guy to be the guy coaching our guy, not instead of McCaslin, nothing like that. I'm not saying anything like that, but yeah, I did see some of what he said, and he had some great things to say after the first game too. He knows what he's doing. He's good in front of the mic. He compliments when he needs to. He's pretty honest for the most part. Anyway, go ahead. And
no, just that, like, I didn't hear the actual question, the full question that was asked, but it was essentially about officiating. And he said, I'm not going to get on here. Essentially, I'm not going to get in here and complain about the officiating when we got outworked on the glass as bad as we did. And what I can control is how we work on improving that, more so than talking about what those three guys are doing. It's like, you know what? Props, because that I would not have taken that high road. not that I had any qualms with the officiating, but like I wasn't watching that closely. I was at a birthday party the second half, or for the, and I was only able to see the first half of the second half before my connection crapped out, and then I just had to follow on Gamecast. But I can appreciate when a coach says, you know what, like I'm not going to complain about the refs when there were things that we could have done better. It's like, you know what, good on you, man. But Texas Tech now splits with Houston for the season series. We'll do a little bit deeper dive into the rest of the basketball stuff, but following this week, Houston did take a tumble in the rankings from 6 to 10. Texas Tech on the flip side went from 12 to 11.
So still behind Houston somehow.
In a week where you beat BYU and Houston between rankings. Anyways, so there was that on Saturday. I didn't hear any issues with your Houston basketball team traveling out. I hope they were able to get out safely. I'm sure they did. The other thing I guess we should start off with or get to before we jump back into basketball is football. There have been, again, a handful of things that have come out since we last recorded, college football wise. One, the CFP format. That update has been released. We heard Dabo Swinney have a proposal for how to fix things, namely the transfer portal. I don't know what anybody would classify Josh Pate, but he had an opinion on how to fix college football. And if you were a Texas Tech fan paying attention, his opinion would sound awfully familiar to what Joey McGuire said about 6 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh took credit for it like it was his novel idea today. Again, he's a shill. He's an idiot. Can't stand that guy anymore. But he was talking about how as the commissioner, and I get that's kind of like his shtick, like he's going to be the future commissioner of the sport. I would do this. I would do that, blah, 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 blah. Those weren't your ideas. But he also did not care to elaborate or even mention or reference that those weren't his ideas. And then the Big 12 schedule was officially released. So we had the home and away splits, like we knew who we were going to play home and away, but since I think it was Wednesday after we recorded last week, we actually got the week by week schedule. Mike, I don't know if you were playing around on our spreadsheet. I went ahead and built our 2026 matrix of scheduling so we can go through and do the game by game predictions. So we don't have to do that on August 29th. It's there. It's ready to go. I was trying to look around and it's like, who's got a bad schedule? Who's got a good schedule? Like, did anybody get screwed? And maybe just because with the way that the matchups are spread out, like I was having a hard time saying like, that's a really good schedule or that's a really bad schedule. It all kind of feels like this year's going to be kind of meh. And maybe that's because that's just how everybody sees the Big 12 anyways. But when I was looking at the 2026 schedule, I was like, there's not a lot of juice on here that gets me super excited. Because you think about the teams that are, the BYU. BYU, you look at their schedule, they've got Notre Dame and Utah on it. But they don't have Texas Tech. Texas Tech doesn't have BYU or Utah. You do get Oklahoma State, Baylor, and TCU back on a rotation or back on the schedule this year. But those teams don't know what you're going to get. As of January 27th, when you have the schedule in front of us and you're looking at it, and you're like, man, your toughest games are going to be at home this season. As a Texas Tech fan, you love to see that. Nobody on the road is particularly intimidating today.
Man, no.
Now you don't know what Oregon State's going to be. You would assume they're not going to have a huge jump up with their new coach. You don't know what Colorado's going to what the bounce back is going to look like. What Cincinnati may look like. Oklahoma State, Mean Green, or I don't know how we want to name those guys. Eric Morris's first year at Oklahoma State. at Baylor. Baylor may be without Aranda at that point in the season because you play them November 21st. So again, as of January 27th, I have a hard time looking at the schedule and seeing like anything really worse than like 11-1 without knowing a whole lot more about who is supposed to challenge you to give you that one loss. You have Houston at home.
Yeah.
Early in the season.
That was
going to
my
be a great
first
game.
thought. Yep.
You weren't really supposed to lose a game against Arizona State. So there's always that possibility. Somebody's going to, jump up and, get you there. But your schedule looks like starting with, I guess, like week 1, but it's September 5th. You're starting almost a whole week later. Abilene Christian, ACU, September 12th. So week 2 at Oregon State. Week 3, home versus Houston. Week 4, home versus Sam Houston State. Week 5 at Colorado, and then you get a bye week. Now I heard people talking about how the bye week comes so early in the schedule, and you got to rattle off 7 games straight. I was like, it's almost halfway. It's five games before the breaks, 7 after. It's not. You could only have moved it 1 week and had it be any more equitable. Front half to back half. It's like, I don't know what you're talking. Like, that's not a thing. Why are we complaining about having to go 7 games straight? But week 7, hosting Arizona State. 8 at Cincinnati. 9 home versus Arizona. 10 home versus West Virginia. 11 at Oklahoma State. 12 at Baylor. 13 finish the season home versus TCU.
That's a sneaky one to me.
It could be. Sure.
That really could be.
They're replacing Hoover.
Yep. I mean, obviously they've got pieces to replace, but I don't know. That could be a sneaky one. They could be one of those teams that I don't know if they're going to go 8-4 or 10-2 or what they're going to do, but at the end of November, they may be playing for something, and Tech may be playing for something too, and that could be a pretty darn good and important football game.
Yeah, I've got dates on our little table here, but the Big 12 schedule was clear. Those were just week matchups, as in like week numbers. I did, obviously anybody that was listening to the Locked On guys know that Level said obviously there are a handful of games that will be moved off of Saturdays, whether it be Thursday or Friday. Those are more figured out around the time of the Big 12 meetings. He said on the Tech schedule, we got a couple games that would be ones to look out for. One would be that Thanksgiving weekend matchup versus TCU. I don't love that being on a Friday in Lubbock. I don't know if I would like any better on Saturday. I'm not a huge fan there. But he also said that week 3 game versus Houston could be moved off of Saturday to like a Friday night. But we would know more around the time of the Big 12 meetings. I'm not going to go through the rest of the schedules and pick out like who's got a strong schedule, who's got, a tough stretch, or who's got it super easy. We've talked about the strength of schedule for Texas Tech, depending on what TCU and Houston are going to do, what the transfer class of Arizona State going to bring in, what Arizona may look like. You've got, I think, those 4 teams. Next up would be Oklahoma State, depending on what Eric Morris is capable of doing in his first year. Sets up very nicely for a title defense in Texas Tech's favor.
And that one will be on a Friday night, which I think we covered last week or the week before.
Yeah, the Big 12 title game will be moved off of Saturday to the Friday night slot.
I like it.
So playing the TCU game the week before on Friday night would give you a week between games instead of playing on Saturday and then again on Friday. But the other thing that we've heard since in a more official capacity was the college football playoff format. They had rumors were going around about the potential of expanding the field again to 16 or whatever. The field will stay at 12. The determine like who's going to make it was kind of adjusted. The Power Four conference winners will get an automatic bid, so you won't see a 7-5 or I guess 8-5 ACC Duke champion left out. What this does is it pushes out any of the like weird scenarios like we saw this year where you had a 7-5 Duke, but and you did have an ACC representative, but you left space there essentially for a couple of non-group of four, non-power four schools or independents in Notre Dame. I think this is intended to address that and say, you know what, we're going to make sure we don't get two James Madisons in North Texas in there. Maybe one, but we for sure need to have Notre Dame in it for whatever reason. If they're top 12 or whatever it was, they're going to automatically in. And then the Power Four conference game winners will be automatic bids. And then the title game will be played even later. Again, because I think everything was kind of shifted back by about 6 days on the calendar versus this year. But we played January 25th, so 2 days ago. From
a week later, basically. Yeah.
In Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. So, which I guess I kind of like not having a national title game be played in a stadium that a bowl game has already been played in, or that a playoff game has been played in, because Texas Tech played in the Hard Rock Stadium, and then 3 weeks later the title game was played there. Not that Oregon played in that, or Texas Tech obviously didn't play in that game again. But there was a possibility that a team could have played in the same stadium twice. Not that that really makes that big of a difference, but I do like that that's kind of been broken up, and now, that's not a thing. All right. Last thing. So Dabo Swinney and Clemson are all butthurt because they lost it. Well, he finally was admitting to, this is how college football is going to be. I'm going to go dabble in the transfer portal, gets a guy, and then has one of the most egregious cases of tampering happen against him, where he lands a guy from Cal, gets signed, he's on campus, he's going to classes, and then unenrolls and transfers to Ole Miss. And so when he had receipts and transcripts and timestamps and went on a 10-minute tirade in a press conference. But in the middle of that, he did have a halfway lucid thought on how to handle transfers. And I don't know if you heard this.
No, this is all news to me.
Okay. I haven't picked it apart and seen where this could fall apart. On the surface, I don't initially disagree with it. Now, he's proposing that every student athlete is afforded one free or unpenalized transfer. He said, essentially, just because. Then he had a couple of scenarios where you could add in an additional transfer to where it wouldn't penalize the student athlete. And said, if your head coach leaves or is fired, or if you graduate, you could then transfer without penalty. Outside of those scenarios, and if it was a subsequent, if you transferred once without an exception, and then you didn't have a head coach firing or leaving or a graduation, if you transferred again, you'd be penalized and lose a year of eligibility until you graduated. You could then regain that year of eligibility back. So
you would sit and lose a year until you graduated. That's a pretty tough one.
You could get it back, or you would get it back. No, what that is saying is okay, sure, maybe you made a mistake on the first transfer. You were young, you made it, stupid or whatever, or something happened family-wise, family hardship, and you had to do it again. You do lose a season of eligibility, but then if you stick with the program and graduate, then you can get it back. So like, I kind of agree with that. I think what we've seen is like when we kind of open the door with the NIL and transfer portal and all the things that everybody's complaining about, like it was just an excuse to blow the doors wide open. This kind of like gets your handle back on the door and you're pulling it back towards you. Like you're holding onto the handle quite a bit better. Will it fix everything? No, but it will start to mitigate some of the Wild West nature of the transfer portal free agency that we're seeing now.
Yeah, I think we all know, despite how much Texas Tech has benefited from these last 2 or 3 years, that this is just not really sustainable. And at some point, a bubble's going to burst or just something's going to happen that's going to force the NCAA to actually do something or somebody to do something. And so what Campbell and the Matador Club and everybody is doing now is playing while they can. They're making hay while the sun shines, or whatever phrase you want to use. But maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know, but this makes sense to me. Is it some sort of an adult in the room saying, okay, well, you can't transfer every single year and maintain your eligibility. There will be some consequences. You can still transfer. No one's going to say that you can't transfer, but there will be consequences, and it will force these kids to think, A, about transferring, about leaving where they're at, and B, about figuring out where they're going. Is it worth this? Is it worth burning a possible year? Or, I'm a sophomore and I'm transferring for the second time and I'm not going to get to play again until I graduate. I mean, there's incentive there to graduate, which is always an encouraging thing in my world. I think that makes sense. And you don't have guys like Carson Beck who hadn't gone to class in 2 years or something, and I don't even know how that works. Who's still playing football? But I know I'm kind of talking both sides of my mouth here, because Texas Tech is absolutely benefiting from the insane free-for-all that is currently going on. But I do think I would be for some attempt to rein it in and to force the coaches as well and the kids to not just loosely, yeah, come on over, it'll be great. And who knows what promises in the students' defense, who knows what promises they're told to get them to Baton Rouge or to get them at South Bend or whatever they're told, and then they get there and like, Oxford. Well, this is completely wrong. Yeah, to get them to Oxford. This is not at all what I signed up for, and everything you said is incorrect, and I'm not playing the position you even asked me to. I mean, who knows what's happening. So it would make the coaches think twice too, because then that's on them. If they have a player who comes and is wanting to leave again, maybe they'll actually have a little bit of a conscience and think about that some more. But yeah, I'm surprised how much I'm agreeing with this on the surface. Granted, I've put 5 minutes of thought into it, and that was when you shared with me earlier what Dabo said.
Yeah, it was one of those things when he started talking about it, and like I knew the perspective he was coming at, having just been burned by this guy that transferred in from Cal and then like has receipts of Ole Miss head coach Pete Golding texting this guy like, hey, like, I know you're enrolled at Clemson. What's your buyout? Like those kind of things to get him to move over to Ole Miss. But then he comes out with some salient thoughts. Like, you know what? I don't really disagree. and yeah, like I said, like you were pointing out, like Texas Tech has benefited from the way that the transfer portal's been working. I haven't gone through and thought about like, okay, what guys,
Yeah.
would this have affected on your roster?
What an exercise that would be,
My thought would be like, okay, so like Micah Hudson would not have been eligible this past season. Now, did that affect the Texas Tech offense? No. I'm trying to think of other guys that may have transferred multiple times, and that Texas Tech would have been one. But then again, you got a lot of older guys too. Like you may have gotten the benefit of the graduation year back. So, yeah.
Kind of on the surface, I like it. I'm open to there being some form of consequence. That, I mean, I know these are big decisions that these kids are making already, but forces them to look at it even closer.
All right. I was going to say there wasn't any updates, but it looks like actually one of the latest updates is Texas Tech transfer offensive lineman Kason Long has committed to Utah State. So good for him. Justin Horn. Do we have a spot for him yet? No, he's going to Alabama State. So we're seeing a lot of these as schools starting probably a little flurry of like, we got to get guys on campus and get all this stuff started sooner rather than later. I don't see anything else. Let me pull it up real quick for Texas Tech. Make sure I didn't miss anything. It's been fairly quiet since basketball season for me has started. So,
welcome, welcome to basketball season.
Did we talk about the punter, Will Carroll? You landed a punter from UCLA, junior from the Pro Kick Academy in Australia. Then we talked about Jamon Mathis from Kent State. And I think everybody else that was committed or uncommitted, excuse me, has since made that determination. All right, let's transition to basketball because, like I said, I got nothing else on. No other updates for football. Yeah, Tanner Allen's the last guy, or I guess Roy Alexander too.
Oh, one other. We have a co-defensive coordinator now.
I did not know this. Spill. Let's hear it.
Let's see. It's Coach Green. Is that right? He's the co-defensive coordinator. That was announced
Rob Green.
Today.
Huh. Texas Tech head coach Joe McGuire announced Tuesday the promotion of safeties coach Rob Green to co-defensive coordinator.
No, I don't know what this means. I wonder if he's reading the room that we may not have Shield Wood much longer. Maybe he's trying to get somebody to kind of train under him and be closer to him. But that was just kind of an interesting tidbit that came out today.
Or maybe he's positioning Green to be ready to take over a defensive coordinator role somewhere else so he can keep guys like Shield Wood. Not that those two, anybody looking for a defensive coordinator from the Texas Tech staff would be two different programs looking to hire Rob Green or Shield Wood. But to your point, maybe it is hey, we need to not backfill, be stockpiling, sharing of knowledge,
stacking success.
stacking success. If and when we lose Shieldwood, like, okay, are we comfortable with promoting Rob Green to full-time? So 2025 was Green's first season on the Tech staff. He was with Coach Wood at Tulane in 23 and Wofford in 17. Green was at Tulane in 24, while Wood was in Houston. Green has coached in a conference championship game in each of the past 3 seasons. That's an interesting little tidbit there. And then Green will return 2 starters from his position room next year, and Brendan Jordan, John Curry. So.
Yeah, Green has been a part of 32 wins the past 3 seasons between his time at Tulane and Texas Tech. 23 and 32 in regular season conference games in that stretch.
Yeah, Red Raiders were noticeably improved in secondary thanks to the arrival of Green and the promotion of cornerbacks coach Darcel McBath. Tech recorded 17 interceptions, its most in a season since 2008, and third highest total since joining the Big 12 in 96. Ninth, they were tied for 9th in the FBS for interceptions and 26th for passing yards allowed, surrendering only 190 yards a game through the year. Marked the lowest passing average for opponents in a season since 07.
And that was when the Big 12 was really crazy. So I think people forget how good the defense was in 07 and 08. They were lights
07,
out.
I had no context except the offense just did whatever the heck it wanted to do. It was pretty good. 09 was also pretty good.
Yes. 09 might have been better. I think those 2 years were the 2 lowest points per game in the past 20 years until this year.
Yeah. Good catch there. I'd missed that. So Rob Green, co-defensive coordinator.
That's right.
Basketball.
Yes.
So this past week, since we last recorded, they defeated Houston, who were 17-1, 5-0 at the time. It was a narrow 2-point projected margin of victory for the Cougars, according to Haslam Metrics. Houston was riding a 16-game conference road win streak, and Texas Tech knocked them off to the tune of 90-86. We talked about the 55 points in the first half being the most that Houston has surrendered in a half in a long time. It was a 55-49 first half lead, so you had 104 points scored in the first half. The shooting performance was just unbelievable. Let me get here we go. Well, for the game, you shot 43% and 41 from 3. You out-rebounded them. This is what we were talking about earlier with Sampson's post-game comments, 44-28.
Yeah. And Toppin had 12 of those 44.
Yeah, Toppin finished with 31 points, 12 rebounds. Jalen Petty had 18. Donovan Atwell had 18. Christian Anderson had 12. Toppin had 12 rebounds. Petty had 8. Josiah Mosley made an appearance, played 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I would say quiet 10 minutes, but he really made a name. Like, he really introduced himself. made a splash introduction. He grabbed 6 boards in his 10 minutes. Lawan Watts added 5. Your 3-point shooters, Donovan Atwell was 5 of 8, so 63%. Jalen Petty was 4 for 6. Josiah Mosley was 2 for 2. Anderson had a quiet day, only 1 of 7. But he did it everywhere else. Well, everybody did it everywhere. Let's just be honest here. That was a very Complete outside of Christian Anderson 3-point offensive day. You did have to sustain or endure Kingston Fleming's just absolutely going off.
What a
No.
player. My gosh.
Houston had 2 guys score in double figures. Emmanuel Sharp had 20. Kingston Fleming's had 42. Nobody else had more than 6. Milos Uzan had 6. Chase McCarty had 6. Joseph Tugler had 4. And then you had 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in with 2. You did, and I think this helped kind of swing the momentum there towards the final 8 minutes or whatever of the first half, when Houston had a couple of key starters hit the bench with their fouls. I believe it was, they picked up their second fouls, and went to the bench, and Texas Tech was able to recover. There was Houston had a 2, maybe 3 possession lead. It was like 6 or 7 points or whatever it was, maybe. They go to the bench, you flip that, you take the lead, and then you go into the halftime, obviously up by 6. And then Houston outscored you by 2 in the second half, but really it was just not allowing Flemings to do whatever he wanted, because Flemings was he's just that good. He was 15 of 26 from the floor, 4 of 9 from 3, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. Only added 2 rebounds, but did have 4 fouls, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals. Those 4 fouls were huge. Emmanuel Sharp also had 4 fouls. So their 2 leading scorers were definitely in foul trouble. But, man, you just didn't allow them, besides those 2 guys, to do anything. And I don't know what to say, man. It was so much fun to watch and follow along, to have that kind of environment with the weather that was going on outside. Yeah, it was good. JT Toppin, I didn't know this until I just looked at it. He played all 40 minutes of this game.
Yeah, he and Anderson both played every minute of the game. And, Toppin, we already mentioned the 12 rebounds, so there's your double-double right there. 0 for 5 from 3.
They weren't bad shots either.
No, and, he had the last 2 or 3 games, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably shooting 40 or 50% from 3 those last 2 or 3 games. So I get it. So just kind of unfortunate that just wasn't working for him that day. Watts had a rough day, 0 for 8 from the field. So, as good as things went for Tech, they did have a lot of things or some things that should have gone their way, not. The foul disparity, if we want to mention it, Tech was only called for 15. Houston had 25. Tech shot 10 more free throws than Houston, or 9 more. They shot 30. Houston shot 21. So there's probably some sour grapes there, justifiable, and it's good of Sampson to be able to kind of look past that and focus on some other things that they can control. And Toppin was all over the place on those rebounds. Petty was able to squeeze in and get 8 somehow. Like you said, Mosley really made his presence known. Buried 2 3-pointers. He got 6 boards in 10 minutes. Not bad. Hello. But the game, Houston was not going to go away, even with their bigs in foul trouble. Their bigs off the bench got in foul trouble too, because it was obvious that they're not used as much as they had to have been used then on the road in a game like this. And so they were not quite as ready for the moment. You could say, because I don't think you can argue a lot of their fouls, if any. You could argue a little bit of the starters' fouls that set them on the bench, but man, it was good to see that get established, and then Tech to take advantage of it on the glass, and Toppin to just score on whoever at will, just however he wanted to. They didn't really have a way to stop him, and Tech did not have a way to stop Flemings. I was so blown away by Flemings. I think there was some stat that they popped during the game, and I think this was the first player that Samson has ever had with a 40-plus point game in his entire coaching career. I'm not positive about that, but obviously that's not typically the type of games that he's trying to play anyway. But if you've got a kid that talented, that young, yikes.
Well, and
he's going to be good.
Yeah, and there were 3 such performances on Saturday of freshmen that hit 40-plus points. 2 of them were the Big 12. AJ DeBonsa had 40 points, and Flemings had 40. Your second half shooting, you definitely cooled off. You were 10 of 29 from the field, 2 of 10 from 3. You did attempt 18 free throws. Again, some of that's going to be hacking away there with a smaller lead there at the end of the game. You get a lot more shots there. But your defense also, you held Houston to 13 of 34, 38% from the field, 4 of 17 from 3. It was 24%, and only 9 free throw attempts. So they finished at 17 of 21 on the day. You were 24 of 30.
That'll get it done.
So off midweek here, you get a little bit of time. You did get Josiah Mosley. We talked about his prep to come back. And if you didn't see Bemboye against Houston with the time off, you were likely to see him this weekend versus UCF. We'll see how that holds out. This is a narrow road projected victory for Texas Tech, 79.3 to 77.9 as of a week ago. I don't know how much that may have changed since Texas Tech's, or since, the games have been played. Let's check it out real quick. Road games in the Big 12 are always difficult to win. UCF is now 14. Let me say, what are they? 14-3, 3-2 in the Big 12. It is an 11 a.m. It's an early tip. But you will be on the road. Okay. It is Texas Tech away. UCF 81. And of course it cuts off. 78.2. So 2.5 points.
Okay, so it's skewed a little bit more towards Texas Tech, but not a whole lot.
Not much. And then you're back home Monday the 2nd versus Kansas, and they are playing right now, I believe, or yesterday.
I think it was yesterday. I think Kansas State's tonight.
Yes. It was West Virginia hosted Kansas State. They won 59-54. UCF defeated Arizona State 79-76. Kansas is also off the midweek. Their last game was at Kansas State, and they beat them 86-62. Kansas plays on Saturday. They host BYU. I believe game day is going to be there.
That'd be a good one.
It's in the notes. Recent games versus Kansas State, and they will have played BYU by the time we roll around to that game on Monday the 2nd.
Yeah, that's what I kind of want to get to with the top 25 update. So Arizona's still number 1, And so for all of these, I went and dug up when Tech actually is going to play the ones that are still in the top 25. So Arizona is number 1 currently. They're still undefeated, 21-0, I guess now. I think it was 20-0 when I looked. I'm not sure if that included last night or not. And Texas Tech will play. You'll see a pattern here. So note where all these games are that Texas Tech has. Number 1, Arizona. Texas Tech will play them Saturday, February 14th at Arizona. Happy Valentine's Day to you. Iowa State, previously number 9, moved up to 8. Tech will play them at Iowa State Saturday, February 28th. Houston, as you already mentioned, moved from 6 to 10. That series is over so far. Texas Tech moved from 12 to 11, and they extend their program record of 21 straight AP appearances. BYU, previously 13, stayed 13. Tech plays them on the road Saturday, March 7th. And then Kansas, who we've already mentioned, jumped up from 19 to 14. That's who Tech is hosting this Monday, but that is the only top 25 team that Tech will host. All the rest of them are on the road.
It's a tough finish.
Yes, it is.
Now, you are second in the Big 12 standings currently, behind Arizona. But games aplenty left to be played.
Oh, yes. A lot can and will happen.
Lady Raiders, Michael, what's going on with them?
Okay. They snapped their 2-game losing streak. So we'll start there. I'll just spout that off and then we'll run through the rankings and then we'll go game by game. So TCU, I think they lost to Ohio State, who's in the top 10. I mean, that was a really close game. My mom was texting me about that game because she's scouting, Spencer. I should have had her on the podcast. I told her, you kind of have to plan ahead to make sure that she can go. So she really wanted to go to a Lady Raider game this year. So we're going to the TCU game, which is this Saturday. I'm taking her to that one. And so she's kind of had that in her head for a while. And so TCU was on national TV the other day and she watched the whole game. And I need to go back and find the text at some point and try to give you her take on the game, but it'd take me too long to fish it out right now because she was like basically texting me during the game. She was really enjoying it. Anyway, TCU did lose that one. They dropped from 9 to 12. Baylor is at 14. They stayed at 14 from the previous week. Texas Tech, after going 1-1, I believe, in the last polling session, went from 19 to 21. West Virginia stayed at 22. And Oklahoma State is the only team receiving votes. So your Lady Raiders are tied for second. They are in a 2-way tie with West Virginia, who they have a head-to-head win against, but it's too early for that to really matter. But they did fall on the road at BYU. So both of their games this last week were in the state of Utah. Wednesday, January 21st, they lost 61-73 in a game that was baffling. It was one of those where if you were playing this on NBA 2K, you would have thrown your controller through the window. BYU was getting every lucky bounce. I'm not going to take anything away from them because I'll get to that. But BYU did get every lucky bounce they could. They made shots that they probably wouldn't normally have made. They were getting steals. I think back-to-back possessions, they got steals from the Lady Raiders and scored on them. And we're talking like what you see in middle school, where they're bringing the ball down and they just take it away from them and go do a layup. I think that happened twice in a row. It was that kind of game. So I think BYU, they won 14 or 15 games. They didn't have a great Big 12 record. They were right at 50%, but they looked pretty darn good. And this was the only team I've seen this year that made our girls look I don't want to say slow, but BYU was so fast. I was blown away by how fast they were. I thought they played really hard, good defense. And I was surprised that they had won as few games as they had in the Big 12. So we'll see. This could have been their Super Bowl. They did go on to lose at home, 91-77 to West Virginia, that the Saturday after this game. So a lot of things went right for them. A lot of things went wrong for the Lady Raiders. They had 21 turnovers. BYU had 24 points off those turnovers, and the Lady Raiders could not hit a three. They were 7 of 27 on the day. So there's your 26% there. And talking about foul trouble, kind of the reverse thing happened on the road to the Lady Raiders that happened to Houston here in Lubbock, or the same thing, I guess. Malone, Fritz, and Sonogo were in foul trouble early, and if you're keeping up, Malone and Sonogo are two bigs. So I think they kind of went small ball there for a while to make up for that. And for whatever reason, just had absolutely no answer for Olivia Hamlin. She came off the bench, was 9 of 15 on field goals, had 20 points, just took it to them. So that was tough after the Kansas State loss. So Texas Tech lost 2 in a row there. Bounced back, my friend, at Utah against a team with a similar record. I think 1 or 2 less Big 12 game wins, but won 77-49, and it was really never in question outside of maybe the first 3 minutes. Lady Raiders put up 34 points in the paint. Here's just how dominant this win was. Score at the end of the first, Texas Tech was up 19-8. End of the second, up 39-20. End of the third, 64-32. They had doubled them up by the end of the third. Let off the gas a little bit in the fourth, but a lot of this came from Snetta Collins coming off the bench. Just an incredible run from her. Okay, 23 minutes. In 23 minutes, Snetta put up 28 points on 9 of 15 field goals. That's 60% for those of you who aren't as quick as me at reading. I couldn't have done that in my head, no matter how much money you gave me. 6 of 7 from 3. Perfect from the line. She was 4 for 4 on free throws. So Snetta Collins, an unreal game. Just a great bounce back for the Lady Raiders as they get ready to host 2 really big Big 12 matchups at home. Iowa State will be here Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Iowa State, of course, started off super hot, was in the top 10, kind of dropped out a little bit, are only 4-5 in the Big 12 right now, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, they're still a good basketball team, and they've got one of the better players in the country too. So that will be at 6 p.m.
Depends on who you ask.
That's what people say. That'll be at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Sunday following that, as mentioned before, number 12 TCU comes to town. They are 19-2 on the season, 7-1 in Big 12 play. That'll be at 1 p.m. on FS1. So got a little bit of nationwide love. Would you call that? Yeah, sure. FS1's more accessible than ESPN Plus. And then they get a probably very welcome 6 days off after these 2 giant home games and head to Houston on Saturday, February 7th. Houston, of course, is still searching for their first Big 12 win, although they did give the Lady Raiders a run for their money when they came to Lubbock. So nothing for granted, but your Lady Raiders are 20-2. They are 7-2 in Big 12, tied for second, about to play the first place team. Let's go.
Yeah, I've just been seeing a lot of criticism of that Iowa State player defensively. Supposedly offensively, yes. she's just a force. Defensively, it looks like she couldn't care less.
Kind of an open door policy.
Oh, I have to move my feet? Nah, I'm good.
Nah, it's good. There's the basket.
We'll get him next time, Coach.
It's over there. I'll just score a basket. I'll score 30. It's fine.
Just give me the ball next possession, and I'll make up for it. Yeah. All right. All right, with that, let's wrap up with NFL playoffs and what do we learn?
Sounds great.
All right, so Super Bowl set, man. We had conference championship weekend. Patriots at the Broncos. I watched a little bit of this. I actually fell asleep over halftime. Well, it was during halftime. So when I was also holding our youngest, and she was asleep on me. So it was not warm, and we were just cozied up on the couch.
It's meant to be. You were
Open
surviving
my
that polar vortex down there.
Well, here's the thing. I was watching the game, and it was like a completely different environment when I opened my eyes. I woke up. I was like, wait a minute. It wasn't snowing in Denver when I fell asleep. And they had like the leaf blowers blowing off the yard lines and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of fun to watch. Except that the Patriots ended up winning that game. So our boy Davis Webb is not going to be making a Super Bowl appearance this year. Now, we knew it was going to be a long shot with them losing Bo Nix, whether it was on one of their last plays or in the post game celebration, which I don't know. I don't know if there's any smoke to that, but I did hear that was a potential cause of the injury. Patriots win 10-7. I don't love that the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl, but what are you gonna do? NFC enjoyed this game a whole lot more. Seahawks did end up defeating the Rams 31-27. So you're gonna get a Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl on February the 8th.
We've seen that before, haven't we? This is a redo.
Probably. What it was relatively recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the Seahawks were playing the Patriots when Russell Wilson, they called that pass on 4th and goal or 3rd and goal or whatever it was, and it was intercepted.
Oh, and they should have handed it off to
Lynch.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. What can you do?
It's not Russell Wilson and Tom Brady.
That's right. I really, I've been trying to find reasons to not like one or the other teams, but I'm coming up short, to be honest with you. I get the franchise hate a little bit, particularly with the Patriots. But how can you not like Vrabel and May? I mean, these guys that just, I don't know. They're super likable to me. And Seahawks, Darnold's been really impressive, and kind of the quote unquote journey he's been on as a quarterback. And you've got two guys like that, Vrabel and Darnold, who their respective teams, after getting 14 wins or whatever, yeah, thanks but no thanks. We've gone as far as we can with you, and then here they are in the Super Bowl. I still can't believe the Titans fired Vrabel. I thought that when they did it, and I'm not even a Titans fan, but he had them in the mix the last 2 or 3 years he was there at least. And I think they were 14-3 the year they fired him, and then they went 3-14. I think it was something like that. Well, what do you know? This guy might know ball.
So now it's 2 weeks out. You got any plans for the game? Yeah. Thoughts on a menu yet?
Not yet, because we have been invited to a party. So, if anything, we might just bring a little something. But where we're going, this was the guy that made like the pork shoulder burnt ends, I think I talked about. Wherever we're going to eat, and we're going to eat all right. We're going to do just fine. But I may have nothing to do with it except a hefty appetite. So nice. I'm looking forward to whatever. Shout out to Colby if there's any chance he ever listens to this. I'm looking forward to whatever he puts on the smoker.
Yeah. Well, with that, let's wrap up with what did we learn? So I see here you got food related. I've already talked about what I learned is that people down here in the coastal bend are a little bit soft when it comes to cold weather. And it's just a little beyond ridiculous.
Well, what I learned is we wanted to be self-sufficient during this storm and not rely on going to the store a lot and stuff like that. I did go to the store for some essentials on Sunday, but I don't think any of it was food. So anyway,
Get some propane.
yeah, got some distilled water for the humidifiers. That was one of the things. And I just wanted to see how the roads were going to do because I knew we were going to ask all our people to drive on them the next morning, and I felt like I should at least drive them myself. I'm like, oh, okay, they're not good by any means, but
Look at
it's attainable, it's doable. So
Look
anyway,
at you, people leader.
trying. I found out that after just living off what we have in the house from Friday till Tuesday, the thing that we all wanted the most when we were like, okay, we're going to go out to eat tonight, Mexican food.
Did you go like Taco Villa?
No, we went local. We went to Cancun.
I never went. I'd never been.
Man, so we live really close to Cancun and Mar y Tierra. They're both really good. Mar y Tierra is BYOB, if that matters to folks. Cancun is not. They have a bar in a bar area. But I meet my mom there for lunch. Like we pick one of those two places at least once a month or so. I try to meet her at lunch because it's close to where she lives too. Anyway, they're local Lubbock places close to our house. And we were like, what, man, the girls hadn't been out of the house really. They hadn't left the house since Friday. I've been the one going to work and running the errands and stuff. And so I said, well, what if I take y'all to dinner tonight? Let's all go eat. What do y'all want? And she sent back all texts or all caps text, Mexican food. And I immediately thought that is correct. I was like, I can't tell you why, but let me tell you, a tostada and a cheese enchilada and a crunchy beef taco with chips and queso, man, that was it. That was what we needed tonight. Everyone's happier, ready to start back for school tomorrow. But yeah, that was what I learned is when we've been sequestered that long and we get a chance to go out and eat as a family, we're all pointing towards a Mexican restaurant, the closest one we can find.
Nice. Well, like I said, we weren't as locked down as you guys were. It only got cold for a few hours Sunday night into Monday when it was still completely dry. So we always have our fill of Mexican food. It's not great Mexican. Well, I say not great. There's a local place on here we've tried. We've been to a few times called Acapulco. We've also been to a place called Kiko's. It's pretty good. But we've also rediscovered, Taco Bell's not that bad.
Do you have the app? You do the app, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, just making sure. I think I knew that, but wanted to cover it. The app is worth it, 100%. If you like Taco Bell at all, it's definitely worth it.
Something I found is I've been getting their Cantina chicken tacos.
Mm-hmm. They're loaded with protein.
I like to do easy on the pico, easy on the avocado ranch. I'm trying to cut a little bit of calories, and I don't like the raw onion so much. So I'll do that. I've also found out I didn't find this out, like it's new to me. I'll get those, and I'll also get some. I'll swap the chicken for steak. The steak version of those. It's on a whole other plane, man. It's no longer Taco Bell. It's like, this is not Taco Bell.
And so you can get a Cantina chicken taco with steak.
With steak. And it's fantastic, dude. Don't laugh.
I would like a water chicken, except
hold the chicken.
Can you put beef on it?
Just go ahead and make me a McDouble. Just with a little bit of BK sauce.
Roll up into Long John Silver's. Y'all got any burgers back there? That's great though. I had no idea you could do that. Yeah, I would try that.
On the app, Cantina chicken, go to the protein. You can also swap it out for, the other version of chicken. They do their diced chicken and they have their slow roasted. You can get that. You can also do it for beans or steak.
We did speaking of chicken, sorry, this is how it goes here. Uh, we were driving back from our Dallas trip, and it seems like at least once when we're traveling, we hit up a McDonald's at some point. And so we did coming back, and I finally got a oh my gosh, I blanked on what the heck they're called. That's so dumb. The wrap, the chicken wrap, they're called something special, right? Or is it just called a wrap? Mick wrap.
Mm.
This is it a Mick wrap? Anyway, I got the spicy one, and it's surprisingly spicy. I think it's the sauce, but it's pretty good. I, I was not the guy that was signing a petition to have them come back or anything. Snack wrap.
Snack wrap.
There it is.
I had to pull up the app. I've actually, I don't even know why.
I don't think I'd ever had one. Yeah, I just thought, well, I for some reason I'm not feeling like a burger, which is strange. I probably should have taken my temperature and maybe checked into a local hospital, but instead I got a snack wrap, and it was pretty darn good and actually kind of spicy.
Yeah, again, I don't know why I have the McDonald's app. I can't tell you the last time I've eaten or ordered from McDonald's. No, I take that back. It was the weekend. Samantha and I were moving our stuff in here without the kids. It was like
Oh, yeah.
Saturday morning. We went for breakfast.
Yes. McDonald's breakfast will never not be good. That's like I said, we always associate it with traveling. I don't know how many times we're driving to Preston Smith and stopping by and getting a couple of sausage biscuits to wolf down on the 20-minute drive over. You know, I don't know how many times we've done that.
Sausage, egg, and cheese.
Ah,
It's pretty good. All right. Cantina chicken soft taco. Customize. Go to the protein up here. You can't see it. Swap. Steak. Easy on the ranch. Easy on the pico. At least for me. You could also go like there's no the Taco Bell shredded cheese. I could leave it. I don't really care for it so much. You can take that off too if you wanted. It doesn't add much.
for that, it wouldn't. I'm
But
once
it
once it
also-
becomes more like a fajita, I'm less interested in cheese. I can do without it.
it comes with that not avocado, the verde salsa. Oh,
Mhm.
that's good. I
like
also
that
did
stuff.
it with the fire sauce.
Yeah, they have
Again,
a chipotle too that's really good that I like.
Mhm. So Grayson, my oldest, he's in the phase where chicken strips everything. Finally got him to stop. Well, we typically will go to like if we're picking up food, we'll hit two restaurants just because they're usually pretty close to each other.
You got
and
chicken
pretty
strips at Taco Bell now, brother.
So we convinced him, like, hey man, like I'm not really feeling going to two restaurants. He's like, well, does Taco Bell do chicken? I was like, you dang right they do. They have nuggets and they have strips. What do you want? He's like, I want strips. So we got him strips. Did you know Taco Bell has a Taco Bell sauce?
I am not entirely sure I knew that.
I didn't either. We got it. We didn't open it. It was like one of those things where like he just wants ketchup.
Sure.
It's like, how old are you? Well, he's a kid. But they now have their own packaged Taco Bell restaurant sauce. What is in it? I don't know.
I wonder if it's basically. I feel like everyone does a version of Brahms sauce / Raising Cane's sauce / some sort of like campfire. The campfire sauce at Red Robin. Something like that. Not quite like Chick-fil-A sauce, but a little bit spicier.
Bell sauce dip sauce. What is it? Description. Signature tangy and savory sauce with tomatoes, mild red chilies, and garlic.
Hmm.
It's got a purple.
I need to give it a try because I have had their a while back. They were running a special in the app, and so I did get one of the chicken strip tacos, and they're pretty darn tasty. There's some sauce on those, and I think it was the chipotle sauce that I mentioned earlier. That was really good. I think that's what comes on the spicy potato soft taco, which is absolutely one of my favorite things. It's $1. And I just love it so much. That and a crunch wrap, man, that's an ideal lunch right there. You're in good shape.
It's a real Mexican treat, man.
That is authentic as it gets.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for us here on the 23 Personnel Podcast. An episode we said we were going to go a little bit shorter, still an hour 20. Getting you ready for basketball on Saturday on the road in Orlando, back home on Monday versus Kansas. Predator basketball's heating up. We'll be back on Tuesday of next week. For Michael, I'm Clinton. See you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.